Please come to order for the October 4th, 2018 regular meeting of Ascension Parish Council. Please stand for the invocation to be led by Councilman Cluott, followed by the pledge.
In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, as always, we thank you for the blessing in carrying us this far through this hurricane season. May you carry us the rest of the way in without harm. Lord, we continue to pray for those on the East Coast that have been hit hard. Lord, we ask that you look down on the Satterley family, and special prayers for Doc Satterley as he's out sick and facing some pretty stiff stuff. We ask that you continue to hold your hand on him. Lord, we ask that you look down on all of our firefighters, police, military, and all emergency personnel as they continue to respond 24/7 to all of our needs. And it's with a special heavy heart that we ask that you continue to watch over all the families and the police officers that were involved in that deadly act of murder yesterday in South Carolina. We ask that you take that whole department, their families, and that community, and gather them close and work with them to get through this. We ask for the recovery of those that are injured. We ask that you pray for the soul of those that have passed away. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call for tonight. We have Councilman Satterley, as Councilman Cluott indicated, is in for some surgery tomorrow. And Councilman Turner, what I understand, is in court. That's it. Okay. Chair's additions. Have no additions tonight, however. Would like to ask the privilege of moving up items 9 and 10 to 6A. Any objections? So ordered. Okay, public comment sign-in period. If anyone has any comments to make on any agenda item, there are red and green cards at the podium. Please pick up one, fill it out, turn it into the secretary. Parish President's report, Mr. Matasso.
I would like y'all to know something, Councilman and Dawson know already. We've been after a drainage project with 4 parishes and got a call today from President Roussel that they passed it at their meeting. We got one more hurdle in the Fouche Parish, and then the project hopefully will start. It's been a long journey for OJ and Bill. Yeah. Anyway, so that's just wanted everybody to know. So we're moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, under general business, first item tonight is new proposed flag for Ascension Parish, and we have 3 sponsors for this: Councilman John Cagnalotti, Councilwoman Terry Casso, and Councilman Aaron Lawler. And from what I understand, Mr. Cagnalotti is going to lead the charge here of those 3.
What we're going to do, Mr. Chairman, as you and I discussed this week, we've asked Master Crawford, Gordon Crawford, to come and give us a presentation, and we'll act on what his presentation presents.
Great.
Thank you, sir. So I stated a lot of what I really wanted to say in my other meeting, but I just wanted to really once again restate that the goal of this project was to give a symbol that the citizens of Ascension Parish could use to unite a lot of the division in the demographics right now in Ascension Parish, and just give us all a symbol that we can use to show our pride for Ascension Parish. So on the printout, I showed that we have I had the 2 other concepts that were placed onto the pole, along with the primary design I wished to, I want for the council to adopt. in the top right, I showed that the poll results, the overall poll results, and how it was largely unreliable, in my opinion, because there are 122,000 residents in Ascension Parish and 551 voted. So we are unable to truly be sure every person was represented in the poll's decision. The reason I chose the overall third design on the poll was it truly pushes the meanings, the overall meanings that the flag would represent. In the top left, you have your agriculture, which is the basis of what our parish has been founded on. My grandfather over here, he grew up on a farm, and so many others in our parish grew up on these farms, and that built the community in our parish is agricultural industry. Everyone did their pitch in agriculture, and it's still very prevalent today. You see, we have the new sugar distillery being built. Agriculture is the basis of our parish, and so I think that was something really important to be showed in our flag. In the bottom right, you have the industry, the blue, and the blue representing the Mississippi River is, really that makes us one of the, there are only a couple of parishes that have the Mississippi River flowing through them, so that really makes us truly unique among the parishes. With the plant there shown to represent one of our primary forms of industry. I was told something really interesting by Councilman Cagnalotti the other day. There was, I don't remember the exact name of the company, but they had moved one of their plants, they had disassembled one of their plants in Chile and moved it over here. And I thought that was just amazing that all these companies actively seek out Ascension Parish to build the heart of their industry upon, Entergy. And these industries, they're giving jobs to so many people in Ascension Parish. So I felt that was something that really should be represented in the flag as well. And in the middle, I want to restate, we have the white and the red. That represents the unity in Louisiana, with the 3 stars representing the 3 drops of blood on the pelican in our state flag and our state seal, representing, protection and just the overall state. So that's I really want to have a symbol that Ascension Parish can use to show that we're unique and we're just one of the most amazing parishes in the state of Louisiana. That's really all I have to say right now.
So let me make sure. So this primary design, that's a recommendation from you, Gordon.
Yes, sir. That's
correct?
the one I wish for the council to adopt from personally.
Great. Pleasure of the council. Or questions? Ms. Castle.
Well, I'll certainly be happy to make the motion that we approve Gordon's design, since he's the only flag expert in the building. No doubt.
Thank you, ma'am.
I second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to adopt the design recommended by Gordon, which is the primary design on this handout. Ms. McKee, have you got this? So what I understand, there's a motion to adopt this primary design flag as the flag of Ascension Parish. Motion and a second discussion. Mr. Johnson.
Question. Gordon, I'm trying to remember the presentation you did last month for us. There is no banner saying that this is Ascension Parish. So how do you do with the flag without having something, so we go to a state conference or something, flying it out of parish? How do we know or represent that it is the Ascension Parish flag with nothing like that on there? Is that something standard that they do or don't do within flag design?
Like putting the Ascension, like putting the text Ascension Parish on it?
In a banner or, or something on there, would that be something to do within the flag design or not?
Many flags do put text on their flags, but that's generally in the world of vexillology. That's generally something heavily, that's something heavily disliked among flag experts, because it doesn't. The overall kind of agreement is that if you need to put the name on the flag, it doesn't really show the uniqueness and it doesn't look as good, especially whenever you're flying it from very far away. The text kind of gets blurred, and that's a lot of the reason why there's a problem with the current seal on the banner as our flag, because if you look at it from far away, or when it's if there's no wind, like right outside, I was looking at our flag and you can't read anything on it because the wind's not out right now. So text is generally not something that you want to put on a flag.
Okay, I just wanted to remind myself what the reason behind it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Further questions, further discussion? We have a motion and a second. You have a question?
Just want to tell you, great job.
Thank you, sir.
You did excellent.
Thank you.
I'll echo that.
I think we all agree with that. So let's see if we all agree on the flag, though. Any opposition to establishing this as the official flag of Ascension Parish? Hearing none, motion's adopted. Thank you, Gordon.
Thank you, sir.
Once we get the flags printed, once we get one made, we want you to come back and do a
Yes, sir.
presentation. Okay?
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
Mr.
also,
Cagney.
when we get them ordered and they come in, I would recommend, if I may, raising the first flag at the government complex and have a dedication ceremony.
Absolutely. Mr. Matassi.
You got it, that's exactly what we're gonna do.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
great.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again, Gordon. Great work. Okay, so let's go to item 6A, which is going to be 9 on the agenda, bids to accept the lowest responsive bid, Darrell and Berthelot, New Gosmer Main Substation number 80, and New Sorrento Main Substation number 20, and I see we have
Motion.
got a motion by Councilman Cluott, second by Councilman Johnson. Any discussion? We got Mr. Cluott.
We voting on both these at the same time?
Mr.
She said no.
Two separate bids.
We're on A. This is the New Gosmer Main Substation.
Well, I'll wait for my comments to the second.
Okay.
Motion.
Got a motion for A and a second by Councilwoman Casso to adopt J. Reed Constructors as, and I see tonight we have Nelson and James from the fire department here too. Welcome. Any opposition to that? Hearing none. That's adopted. And now we're on the Sorrento Main Station number 20. A motion by Councilman Cluott, second by Councilman Johnson, to accept the recommendation of purchasing and appoint J. Reed as the constructors of that. Any questions, Mr. Cluott?
Yeah, real quick, before we get finished with these two, we know the problem that we've ran into with FEMA trying to work on the Santa Monica Fire Department. We got that coming, looking at us next week in finance. And I want to take this opportunity to thank our OEP, our administration, the grants department, and everyone for busting your butt and beating your heads against the wall for a long time and trying to get something done for these folks. And it just didn't happen. But we need this so badly. And sir, I would appreciate it if we could lend a minute to District 1 Chief James LeBlanc.
Absolutely.
Mr.
Can
LeBlanc.
I take a privilege there and let's make a vote and then Mr.
Yes, sir.
LeBlanc. So Darrell can, I think she's a little bit.
Yeah, she wants to go.
So any opposition? Appointing J. Reed. Hearing none, motion's adopted. And James LeBlanc, Fire Chief, Santa Monica, Chief of Fire District number 1, and I'm not sure what else.
So you wanted me to just give a quick state of the union, or you had a question for me?
Yeah, just quick state.
I
of the
think,
union.
I think it's
we know the
disappointing. First of all-
frustration- we know the frustration on our end trying to do something. I want people to know the frustration on your end.
So first of
And
all,
fire.
congratulations, great work to the purchasing department, the administration. We finally moving forward after 25 months of flooded fire stations. Tonight, we're making that step forward for the Gosmer Fire Station. I heard a couple of times tonight up here, substation. Just keep in mind that this is the Gosmer's main station, and this is the Sorrento's main station. We'll be taking the Sorrento Fire Department off of Main Street and moving it on John LeBlanc Boulevard. So these are moved. I will tell you this: people need to know that these fire stations came in at $500,000 over budget whenever the bids came in. So and now a lot of that has to do with all this steel tariff and all this money. So we're looking for now, when we go out for bids for the Santa Monica Fire Station, then we go out for bids for the Galvez Station. We're prepared to know that these stations are going to be over budget also. I mean, we budgeted 2.3 and they come back at 2.9. So right at $500,000. So it's frustrating. It definitely is. I mean, OEP, hats off to them, hats off to the administration, but it's just overwhelmingly hurt when you wait 25 months and you find out that after 4 times you get rejected on something that should have been passed during the first go around. And it's very, 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 so everybody's doing their part as far as administration wise. It's just very, very aggravating that we're having to go through this. And whenever you got parish government that goes and does an assessment on a building and they tell you that that building is definitely 50% substantially damaged, and then you have the governor's office come behind and do another assessment and they tell you that the building is definitely 50% substantially damaged, and then you pass that on to FEMA and they come back and they say it's not 50%. 2 different organizations, 2 different groups, 2 different companies did a 4 or 5 day assessment on a building, and they come up with these 15, 20-page documents that show that the building is definitely over 50% substantially damaged, and then you have the big boys that control the money that say, no, it's not. So it's very aggravating. I'm saving a lot of my big comments for next week for the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Chief.
But thank y'all, good work. I know y'all get the emails from me, so y'all know how frustrated I am. I'm sure the frustration shows in my emails. So thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, James, for coming. Nelson, also Fire Chief in Sorrento and 5th Ward. Darrell, item number 10, approval of request for quote order number 2, replacement for Ascension Parish Courthouse East.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion by Councilman Lambert, second by Councilman Cagnolati. Any questions? Any opposition? Hearing none. That's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darrell. All right. Let's move back to item number 7. Presentation of the 2019 budget and 2018 amended budget. Gwen LeBlanc, Kenny Matassa.
Thank you, and good evening, council members. On behalf of President Matassa, we would like to present the 2019 budget and also the 2018 amended budget. The 2019 operating budget is our continuing effort to provide vital services to our citizens. The largest source of revenue in our 2019 operating budget is from our sales taxes, and that represents a total of $44 million, or 41% of the revenues in our operating budget. Ad valorem taxes account for 23%, or $24.6 million. On the other hand, the 2019 capital budget is a very aggressive budget with funding primarily provided by bond and grant revenues received in prior years. But funding is also provided from some of the individual funds that would transfer into their construction fund. And examples of that would be East Ascension Drainage District and the fire districts. And the only other thing I wanted to mention was the parish's credit rating in 2018 was upgraded from AA to AA+, and that was by S&P Global. So at this time, Dawn is going to go over the summary of the budget, and then afterwards, if you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer. Dawn?
Good evening. You have before you the 2019 budget summary packet, and I'm just going to go over with that with you. Also, we gave out tonight the draft book, which you can read at your leisure. It outlines a lot of the things that, it gives you the line item details for each of the different funds and that sort of thing. But beginning with the 2019 budget summary, if you turn to page 1, this is just an annual comparison of the 2018 budget as opposed to the 2019. As you can see, our operating budget revenues are slightly down budgeted-wise for 2019. We take a very conservative approach when we're budgeting our sales tax revenues, so that is the main reason that those have decreased slightly. That would be all 3 of the taxing districts. That total would be about $3 million between the 3 of them. The capital budget revenues went up slightly. That is for some grants that we're anticipating, mainly one large grant that we've been working towards, the CDBG for the Hillaryville. And then, of course, the required fund balance, as you can see, has gone up substantially, and that is mainly due to the aggressive capital plan that we have in this 2019 budget. The operating budget expenditures went up about about $7 million, and then the capital budget expenditures went up about almost $80 million. And we'll get into those details a little bit further on. The transfers in and out for the 2018 amended budget are right around $82.5 million, and the transfers in and out for the 2019 budget are around $46.3. If you turn to page 2, what we did here was to give you a line item analysis between the 2018 amended budget and the 2019. These are the expenditures for each department and fund as we'll go through it. So the first one is the general fund, and I've highlighted some of the ones that had a lot of the major differences. The first one is the Judicial 23rd District. That would be the DA. There's an additional appropriation that he's asking for his office. I think he'll be coming to speak about that at the finance meeting. General Administration, there is a decrease in professional services. This is due to we've almost completed, we've gone live with phase 1 of the Tyler Technologies, so we have phases 2 and 3 to go, but we've paid a good bit of that already. And then also the maintenance fund fee has decreased because over the years, the maintenance fund, everyone pays into that, the different departments and the different funds, other than Recreation, Jail, and Lamar-Dixon. They operate on their own as far as maintaining their buildings. And the fund balance had accumulated, and so we reduced what the general fund has to pay their annual fee, because that does not need to maintain a very high fund balance because of the way everybody contributes to it to cover their repairs and maintenance for their buildings. Planning and development, there was a decrease in the staff due to the subdivision inspectors transferring to Public Works. And then also the IT department, there's an increase in professional services for the annual support for Tyler Technologies, which we have to start paying in 2019. The 2018 was in the original 2017 contract, but we now have to start paying it annually. And then the Cartograph, which is our current system for work orders, and My Government Online, both of those contracts will be paying in 2019, and Cartograph will go away after 2019 and will be with just My Government Online. The next page covers some of the major differences for the special revenue funds. The first one is East Ascension Major Drainage. There is a large increase in this fund due to acquisition purchases. There are now new contracts for ditch digging and setting culverts in the parish, and there's some repairs that are being done or projected to be done for Marvin Bro and the Sorrento pump stations. West Ascension Drainage, on the other hand, has decreased substantially their budget, and this is due to a decrease in acquisition purchases. The FEMA repetitive loss reduction, this is an elevation grant fund that we have right now, and these grants were budgeted to be done in 2018, but these elevations are going to occur in 2019. Fire District number 3 has a substantial increase due to new employees and related benefits, and also some land acquisitions that they want to do in the 2019 budget. The next funds that we're going to discuss are the debt service funds. These all are really in good shape. Obviously, there's not that much difference in them. The only one, the library fund, of course, went down substantially because in 2018 they contributed $1 million towards their principal, and in 2019 they're budgeted just to pay their normal debt. The sales tax sinking fund, this is the fund that has the debt for the jail and also for the courthouse. And this went up slightly due to the fact that we're paying 12 months worth of debt payments in 2019 as opposed to only 10 in 2018. And the East Ascension Drainage Sinking Fund, that went up due to just the bond schedule. There's just a slight increase for that. The next page talks about the enterprise and internal service funds. Lamar-Dixon, there's an increase there due to a new grant that they have, which will be done in 2019 for a generator. The Ascension Parish Insurance Fund, there is an increase due to an increase in premiums and claims expenses. The maintenance fund, we have an increase due to major repairs to the various buildings in the parish, and there's also some chiller repairs that have to be done at Courthouse East. ACUD number 2, there's substantial increases next year due to the expenses associated with all of the new sewer systems that we're taking over as part of the sewer ordinance. So the total operating budget, as you can see, increased about $7 million, and each of the different funds that I just spoke about, that's what makes up the $7 million. The capital projects budget, all of these have increased almost $80 million due to basically capital projects. On the next page, you will see a list of every project that is intended for 2019. It's a very aggressive plan. We met with each of the departments and discussed these plans, and this is their budgets. So, and also with the parish president. Page 6 is a pie chart which shows you the operating budget revenues for 2019 plus the required fund balance, which is about $106.6 million. And you can see that the majority, just like Gwen spoke, the majority of our revenues come from sales taxes and property taxes, and then some other miscellaneous income, licenses, permits, fines, that sort of thing. The next page is the same kind of pie chart, except for it's for the operating expenditures for the year, which is almost $100 million. The bulk of this comes from general government, public works for drainage, and then public works for road and bridge, and then also health and welfare. It's about $17.3 million. The next page is the other pie charts which show you the capital budget revenues plus required fund balance and the expenditures. The majority of this, the revenues, is the fund balance, which has been from previous years, as Gwen discussed, which was either grants or bonds that were issued. And then the expenditures, we have, most of it is from drainage projects at $40 million and road and bridge or transportation projects from Move Ascension and road construction at about $39 million. The next two pages, page 9 and 10, is the 2019 budget summary, and this lists every single fund, and it starts with the revenues, their transfers in, their transfers out, and then their expenditures, and then it gives you whether or not they're going to finish the year projected in an operating surplus or deficit. Then the next column will show your beginning fund balance, and then it will show your ending fund balance, and you can see where each of these funds are projected to end the year. For instance, the general fund is projected to end the year at $10.2 million, East Ascension Drainage, $22.4, the Sales Tax District, $16.3. If you go on down, you can just see each of the different funds. And then page 10, of course, shows you your debt service funds along with the enterprise and internal service funds. And then we show the capital projects. And the last page, last 4 pages, is actually the ordinance, which will appropriate the 2019 budget and amend the 2018 budget. That's what this ordinance does, and you can read through it whenever, if you have any questions, or if you want to call us to discuss or come meet. I know it's a lot of information at one time. Took us a lot of time to put it together.
You did a great job.
So,
First, let me thank Dawn and Gwen for being patient with me on a few questions,
okay.
but for the great work that they've done. But also, I plan to set up some meetings over the next week, November 15th, Thursday, 18th. Anyway, second meeting in November is when the budget will be approved, so I plan to set up some meetings. I've talked to the administration, with either finance or particular departments, if you guys will tell me your preference to go over any individual questions you may have. But we'll have at least 2 general sessions, probably with finance and to go over the general budget. And now, anybody have any questions at this point? Good job, Dawn. You know.
Thank you, Dawn.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say, of all days, we had trouble with like 3 copy machines, but they pulled it out the hat. They got it in.
Okay, so, that's going to be the submittal of the budget to the council according to our charter. All right, let's see, jumped around a little bit here. So on item number 11, I knew I'd miss it. Set Halloween hours, this is an important one for Ascension Parish. October 31st, and now I can't remember, Cinnamon, is it 6 to 8? 6 to 8 p.m.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Benny Johnson. All right. Any questions, any opposition? Motion's adopted. Thank you. Now, item number 11, is that correct? Proposed ordinance to amend Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, Article 6, Council Procedures, Section 2-91 through Section 2-120, deferred from September 20th. Council meeting recommendation of strategic planning. Mr. Cagnolati.
Mr. Chairman, Section 2100 bylaws and operating procedures of the parish council and standing committees. Under item 10, I would propose to reword Section 10E as it was presented, and I'll read what I'd recommend.
Okay.
It's E is Strategic Planning Committee. The Strategic Planning Committee vision is to promote good governance, promote good planning and monitoring of the overall direction of the parish, and to consider matters which help the governing authority to work toward the goal of good governance, using characteristics of good governance as a guide, and to recommend any other matters to the council that may complement this vision.
Okay, so, and I'm presuming that's a motion to amend the proposed ordinance as read.
Correct.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend the proposed ordinance as read by Councilman Cagnolati. Second. We have a second by Councilwoman Casso. Any discussion? Any opposition? That motion's adopted, so that's the amendment, and then we would need a motion to adopt the proposed ordinance.
So moved.
We got a motion by Councilwoman Casso, second by Councilman Cagnolati. Any discussion? Any opposition? So that motion is adopted, and then this will come back as an introduction after it's right. Okay. Item number 12, resolution to change street name DC Fody Lane to Dominic Fody Lane. Mr. Parrington.
Yes, when this was presented and approved, it was named DC Fody. The 911 center says they do not want initials in the names, that they prefer names, so that the property owner has no problem changing it to Dominic Fody.
So moved.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Kluat. Any questions, any opposition? Resolution is adopted. Introduction of ordinances, introduction of ordinance to revise and install street signs and traffic control devices in a safe, clear, and concise manner which aids drivers of the parish.
Motion to introduce.
And Councilman Cagnolati introduced the ordinance. Public hearings, item number 14, reading of ordinance to amend Chapter 11, Health and Sanitation, Article 5, Grass and Weeds, Section 11-100, definitions, duty to cut and remove, and Section 11-01, notice to remove of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances. Mr. Parrington.
To amend Chapter 11, Health Sanitation, Article 5, Grass and Weeds, Section 11-100, definitions, duty to cut and remove, and Section 11-101, notice to remove in Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances. Whereas the Charter of the Parish of Ascension, Section 601, requires an ordinance for all acts that regulate the rate or other charges for services provided by the parish and for all amendments to those acts. Whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing responsible body over the zoning regulations within the jurisdiction. Now therefore be it ordained the Ascension Parish governing authority of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, to amend Chapter 11, Health and Sanitation, Article 5, Grass and Weeds, Section 11-100, definitions, duty to cut and remove, and Sections 11-101, notice to remove of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, more fully described in Exhibit A attached here, and made a part hereof. This ordinance shall be in full effect as submitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Okay, so public hearing.
Motion open.
Got a motion by Councilman Joseph, second by Councilman Benny Johnson to open the public hearing. Any opposition? Public hearing is now open. We have a speaker. Miss Alice Johnson? Robinson, I'm sorry. I was thinking about Councilman Johnson.
Alice Robinson. I just wanted to ask the council to be in consideration of this ordinance because it is very, very much in need in our community.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Robinson. Stuck on that. All right.
Motion to close.
Got a motion by Councilman Joseph, second by Councilman Lawler to close the public hearing. Any opposition? Public hearing is closed. The ordinance. Move the ordinance.
Motion to
Got a motion by Councilman Joseph, second by Councilman Lawler to move the ordinance.
discussion.
Got discussion. Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah, I've been looking into this ordinance, and guys, you know, we are one parish, we're not split, and this is something that they were gonna do on the west bank and not do on the east bank is probably gonna open up some, you know, issues that we have on the east bank. We have a lot of calls that, you know, grass has grown. Right now, we will do it in the subdivision. The ordinance is there. We will cut a yard if the grass gets too tall in a subdivision. That's on the books already. But in the outer, anything outside of a subdivision, we have no law and ordinance to do so. And, you know, to start off with, it's gonna be costly. It's anywhere from $100 to $200 per lot, depending on the lots. If the homeowner doesn't pay for it, it puts a lien on their property. The lien doesn't really mean much until they sell their home, so we could have several liens, you know, throughout the life of that house and the homeowners. And like I said, it is coming from the general fund. You know, if we're gonna do it on one side, we should do it on the other side, but I don't think it's feasible to do it both sides because of the cost of it. I think you're gonna need more personnel. Because it's not just hiring a contractor to go cut the grass. You have to serve them paperwork. The code enforcement officer has to do his job. There's a lot has to happen before you even hire a contractor to go cut this yard. And I'm just in opposition of doing it on just one side. And I wish we could have the funding for doing it on both sides, but I don't think it's there. But it says just the West Bank. It doesn't have anything to do with the East Bank.
Further discussion. Mr. Joseph.
Yes, I understand, Mr. Todd, concern. The ordinance is for both the whole parish. The overlay map would be considered wherever you put it in. The ordinance really protect, I mean, like I said, for the whole parish. And Mr. Todd made a good point of how much it costs. In the last meeting, he asked administration to give us a price of what it have been costing us. And if I'm not mistaken, that was emailed to all of us over the last month. And that cost was totally or roughly about $4,000 that the parish been spending on grass cutting in subdivision. You know, that is not a lot of money. And from what I understand, when they send out letters, the community, I mean, the property owners have been paying for it, have been cutting their grass and paying for it. So that's why we have a low number in cost of how much administration go out there. So for me, it is worth it that, you know, that these community have a voice on this grass ordinance because, like I say, Modesto in my area was a community. It wasn't a subdivision. When it was built in the 100 years ago, it was a community. Aben was a community. Lemonville was a community. If they was using the language subdivision, it would have been subdivision. But they are close proximity to each resident. So I encourage you to support this here. And if you want it in your district and create an overlay map, you can do that. So this is just not for one side of the parish. It's for the whole parish. That's all.
Mr. Lawler.
So I understand Councilman Lambert's concerns, and what I think we need to do is, you know, I'm fine with approving this and move forward on it, but, you know, we can always return to this in a year, and if the cost has become exorbitant, we can revisit this.
Okay, further discussion. Mr. Kluot.
Yeah, I somewhat agree with Todd and OJ both. I mean, why are we going, this came out of strategic planning, and I know Doc's not here tonight, but you guys are members of strategic planning. So why didn't we just do the parish? Why are we going with the overlay zone? Why is that? It seems like sometimes when one councilman, you know, if I want something done, am I gonna create something right in my district? That's all, that's the impression that it gives sometimes. So why, if we wanna do it, hey, I'm good with it, let's do the parish. Let's do the whole parish. I got a lot of places because Santa Mar used to be something and it's a community now, you know? I got places where there's multiple little roads. You can call it a subdivision if you want. So Modest and all that, ABN, all that, that's not exclusive to the rural suburban area of my parish. 'Cause I got, right on that side of the river, I got areas just like it. I got a guy across the street, I want to get him to cut grass, but we're not in a subdivision, all right? So if we can do this, I don't have a problem with it. Let's go parish-wide. Why do I have to go, as Mr. Joseph had to do, go and create an overlay zone? I disagree with that. Let's go parish-wide.
Okay, further discussion? All right, pleasure. Ms. Castle.
Randy, if you want to
I'd like to offer that up as an
make it
amendment.
open parish-wide, I would second that.
Not
With
unless we have
to my
separate-
understanding, the ordinance is parish-wide. We've already passed the overlay.
So we have to do, but, so my question is, I think it's like
Yeah.
Randy's, why don't we,
Okay,
why
well,
don't
I'll
we
ask
do
a
away with
simple
these
question if I can get the floor
overlays
back.
and just let's do it parish-wide?
Okay, Mr. Cluart, you have a question?
Mr. Perrington, today, if I got an issue in Santa Monica that's not in the subdivision, I want to get parish, get somebody to search the paper to go cut some grass. Can I do it?
No.
Okay.
You'd have to create an overlay zone if you pass this ordinance. But if you want to do away with the overlays and make it parish-wide, we can do that.
But the overlays were done previous. That overlay was,
No, we haven't established the
No.
overlay yet.
it was in the committee.
don't have
Okay.
It was, yeah,
Okay.
no, it was depend
I thought
on this
they were
ordinance
passed.
passed.
Okay. All right. Councilman Dempsey Lamb.
Hey, I don't want this in my district. Here we are, we're looking at 24 inches of grass. We've got people on my side that, you know, they cut hay, do different things. You want to put it in your district, that's your business. I'm not for doing this parish-wide.
Okay. Councilman Todd Lambert.
And with this, that's what I said earlier when I was discussing it. To go parish-wide, the feasibility may not be there also. It may jump from 4,000 to 300,000 by the time you go parish-wide, because you're talking a whole lot more territory. Because in the subdivisions right now, like you say, most people will cut their grasses in the subdivision if you send them a letter. Most of them are some of the rental properties that you run into, and by the time you give it to the landlord, they will get it cut. But parish-wide, we're going to run into some problems where we're going to have to put a lot of liens. There's going to be a lot of legal action taking place. And it's very costly, and like I said, to get your money back, if the person could cut their yard, and you're going to go over there and cut it yourself and charge them $200, they could have hired somebody to cut it for a whole lot less than that. And they can't. Maybe they can't. So then you have to put a lien on their property. And it's going to cause a lot of hardships throughout the parish, I'm all for it for the subdivisions because, it's a development. Everything, homes are close and the houses are close to each other. But to go parish-wide is, I'd like to let administration look at the feasibility of it. I think it would be, they'd have to put more personnel on staff. Legal would be increased. So I don't know how much legal is involved in putting a lien on a piece of property, Mr. O'Neill.
They do it in the grass cutting. They just record the lien. We have a process that they handle that with already. It's set up.
Yeah. It's a lot of paperwork, so.
Councilman Joseph.
Once again, Mr. Lambert, keep on saying, let administration look at it. Well, we did that 45 days ago. Administration gave their input back, and it shows that it did not have any great effect on the financial of the administration. that point right there is kind of hard to accept when what he asked for, they provided to him, and now he asking for, the same thing. Mr. Todd, I don't know, did you review that?
The only thing I asked from administration is how much they charge for a lot. I didn't ask the total amount. I asked the administration how much they charge per lot.
Well, we got a report that said,
we got a report that showed it's between 100 and 200.
but we also got a report that showed how much parish-wide had been spent and how much each
They
district.
keep saying I asked for that. I didn't ask for that. All I asked for was how much they charge per lot to cut, how much a contractor charges per lot to cut a lawn. And that's the question that was asked of me. You can go back and look at the minutes if you want.
Okay, so right now, we have the ordinance, which is a parish-wide ordinance. And I was under the wrong impression, the overlay has not been passed, so the overlay will have to come back, and it'll establish in what areas of the parish, or the entire parish, this will take effect. So what's the pleasure here on the ordinance? So we have I don't think I have a motion to move the ordinance at this point. Do
Yes.
Yeah, you got a motion.
Yes, it was a discussion.
Discussion.
So who made the motion?
I made the motion, Lord second.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second, so we got Councilman Johnson, let's give him a chance.
Just for clarification points, the ordinance that we're talking about moving tonight has nothing to do with the overlay?
It requires an overlay.
It required
It creates the
overlay.
definition of an overlay.
Okay, that's what I was
Yeah,
trying to understand.
but the overlay is not included in the ordinance.
You have to pass another ordinance with the overlay map in.
Councilman Kluwat.
Yeah, I just want to close my statement with the fact that, hey, what we're creating here, we're creating a parish-wide ordinance, then we're creating a way that a single councilman or councilwoman or single district in the parish can do something different than another district, okay? I don't know if that's the road we want to go down as parish government, serving the entire parish and as a body. So, that's it.
Okay, Councilman Lawler.
Well, part of what I was going to also say, I was reading through this, I know that there are some concerns with raising hay and that sort of thing. It does exempt agricultural operations, which I believe includes raising hay. 'Cause I know I got some people in my district that they raise cattle, their grass gets high. I don't want it to be a problem for them, and I really don't think it would be. And once again, because this is not actually creating the overlay zone, it's creating the authority to do so. I still support this, and we can certainly revisit where we actually need it. It may be something that we look at certain highways along certain areas if we have to do that. But at this point, I'm very comfortable with this because it's giving us the authority to do it if we want to.
Okay, so Councilwoman Castle.
Yeah, I'm quite comfortable with it, and I believe that our parish is different. We are still rural, and in some places urban. It's obvious that while we are growing tremendously, we are still a parish with a lot of diversity of the way our parish is laid out. So I think it's appropriate that we pass something that works in OJ's district, something maybe that works in mine, and I think others can benefit depending upon the nature of the area in which they represent. I'm going to be supporting it.
So if you remember when we did the traffic impact, we did that,
Absolutely.
because we have some differences. So let's, Mr. President.
So I'm a little bit confused, but so if you pass this tonight, each councilman can do it in their district if they want. That's what basically it is.
Well, anybody could bring an overlay in here for some part of the parish. It doesn't.
But as an ordinance, like at the next meeting, we will have public input. Okay.
Right. Okay, so I think roll call, Madam Secretary.
Councilman Joseph,
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
No.
Councilman Kluwat,
No.
Councilman Lawler,
Yes.
Councilwoman Casso,
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert,
No.
Councilman Cagnolati.
No.
Councilman Johnson.
No.
Chairman Dawson.
Yes.
You have 4 yeas and 5 nays.
So the ordinance fails. Right, we'll go to item number 17, reading of the ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Administration, Article 6, Council Procedures of the Parish Code of Ordinances to create a procedure for appeals of employees seeking reinstatement by the Parish Council. Mr. Parrington.
To amend Chapter 2 Administration, Article 6 Council Procedures
of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, whereas the council desires to create a procedure for reinstatement for employees appearing before the parish council. Now therefore be it ordained, the Ascension Parish Governing Authority, Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, to amend Chapter 2, Article 7, should be Article 6.
Yep.
Departments of Parish Government, Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances more fully described in Exhibit A attached here to and made a part hereof. The ordinance having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Okay, public hearing, got a motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Cagnotti, open the public hearing. Got a motion by Councilman Cagnotti, second by Councilman Todd Lambert to close the public hearing. At the pleasure of the ordinance, Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we send this to personnel for further discussion.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson to refer that. Got a second by Councilman Joseph. Any discussion? Any opposition? Ordinance is referred to personnel. Got, almost lost my place. Item number 20, reading of the ordinance to declare surplus and authorize the transfer of certain assets and all rights, title, and interest in those assets to a piece of paper, sorry. To Ascension High School's television program classroom, Mr. Parrington.
To declare the below property described as surplus and transfer title to a cooperative endeavor agreement attached here to and made a part hereof. Whereas the parish of Ascension has certain assets that are surplus and no longer viable to retain, whereas these assets no longer serve or have any public purpose. Whereas the parish of Ascension desires to declare said assets to surplus and provide the sale or transfer thereof. Whereas be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Council acting in its capacity as the governing authority, it is hereby declares the listing of assets attached here to and made a part hereof as Exhibit A, the surplus and authorize the transfer of rights, title, and interest of said assets to East Ascension High School television program as is, where is, without warranty of any kind and conditions as set forth in the cooperative endeavor agreement attached here to and made a part hereof as Exhibit B. In the event any portion of this ordinance ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over such portion shall be esteemed separate and distinct, and the provision shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of the ordinance. The ordinance shall be in full effect suspended by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion, open the public hearing.
Got a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Cagnotti, open the public hearing. Got a motion by Cagnotti, second by Councilman Todd Lambert to close the public hearing. Pleasure on the ordinance.
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Benny Johnson, second by Councilman Cagnotti to move the ordinance. Any discussion? Any opposition? Ordinance is adopted. Got item number 23, executive session, Chester Colbert versus Ascension Parish mediation discussion.
Motion to go into
Got a
executive
motion
session.
by
Second.
Councilman Lawler, second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert to go in executive session. Any opposition? Roll call.
Councilman Joseph,
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Kluat.
Yes.
Councilman Lawler.
Yes.
Councilwoman Casso.
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Cagnolotti.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Dawson.
Yes.
No.
All right.
That's usual. He didn't make no difference.
All right,
Motion to reconvene.
got a motion by
Second.
Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Cagnalotti, to reconvene. Mr. Kluart.
I'd like to make a motion to give the administration the authority to negotiate and settle.
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion's adopted. Item number 24. Got a motion by Councilman Cagnalotti, second by Councilman Lawler, to adjourn. Thank you.